Hey everybody, welcome back to Carolyn Community Connection. It's 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. This is a special program for you joining us today. I have interviewed the Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs. I've interviewed the Arizona House Leader, Charlene Fernandez, Chamber President. I've interviewed a lot of people on this program, just approaching 60, and I've never been more nervous than I am today because I've got a bunch of kids staring down the barrel at me. And as a teacher for almost 25 years, this is kind of the best of times and the worst of times for me. For those of you who are joining us and aren't aware, we have an issue in Fountain Hills. I'm actually running for the House of Representatives in District 23, which encompasses a large swath of Scottsdale, all of Fountain Hills, and Rio Verde. This is happening down in Fountain Hills. I had been in contact with some other teacher friends of mine, and a long story short, kids were actually acting out democracy, living their truth, and were kind of put into a very uncomfortable position that no one should ever be put in by a bunch of people who call themselves adults. So without further ado, I'm going to allow for all the kids to introduce themselves, just about 30 seconds. Then I'll kind of talk about the ground rules after they do that, and then we'll get on with the conversation and some questions, okay? So Kayla, will you start, please?
Yeah, my name's Kayla Barnhart. I'm 28 years old. I went to Fountain Hills High School 2010. I got my degree from NAU in Hotel and Restaurant Management. And I'm currently living in Fountain Hills right now. And I got connected. Well, Caitlin, I knew. She was a year older than me, but the rest of these girls I'm meeting today for the first time. But we have been in their corner during all this that's been going on over the past week or so. So yeah, this is really awesome to meet everybody. But that's
Great. Awesome. So we do have a lot of people. So when we do get into the conversation, the kids are going to kind of raise their finger and I'll call on them kind of as a moderator. But I'll call on you right now. Caitlin, you want to tell us about yourself?
Sure, I'm Caitlin. I graduated from Fountain Hills High School in 2009. I went to U of A. I studied film and television and creative writing, and now I live in Los Angeles. And I have tried to stay in touch with the Fountain Hills community as much as possible. It's my hometown. It's, where my family is still. And like Kayla, I was very upset and outraged at the comments that were directed at the students who organized this peaceful protest in support of Black Lives Matter. So I co-authored a letter in support that has now been signed by over 500 alum of Fountain Hills High School to show our support for these students.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Caitlin. Let's go to not Catherine, but Carrie, right? Goes by Carrie. The name on the screen is Catherine. Hi, Carrie.
Yes, hi, my name is Carrie Harper. I'm 18 years old and I graduated from Desert Mountain High School, but I live in Fountain Hills. I've lived here since I was 9, and I'm a rising sophomore at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm one of the founding members at Together We Care.
Excellent. And, I was just reminded, if my internet goes out, then it's your show, okay? You just have at it, right? Just pick up the dead space. Hey, let's go with Rory Wilson. Rory, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Rory. I'm 19. I graduated from Fountain Hills High School in 2019. I will be a sophomore at Grand Canyon University. I'm studying forensic science and sociology. I am also one of the founders of the group who tried to start the protest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And the last lady of the group, Sharifa.
Hi, I'm 19. I graduated from Fountain Hills in 2018. I'm currently attending Cal State Long Beach. I'm also about to be a sophomore, and I'm a psychology major. I am also one of the founding members of the group we call Together We Care, or TWC.
Okay. And as we're going through this conversation, I ask that folks put their questions and comments into the message bar on Facebook Live, and Andy will get it to us here in the Zoom, and I'll try to ask you the questions. And then we'll go with the old raise the finger to answer them. I just want to go over a couple of comments here. Al Ronca says she's here, and he so supports you all. Sandy Flayton says this is great. Thank you for your voices. Sharifa, will you start us off here and tell us, you were in California. What
Yes.
kind of transpired to get you to talk to some of the Fountain Hills kids? Where were you with that?
Well, I was here in California seeing everything going on. Again, I have attended two protests here in California. And it just got me thinking, is there anything going on in Fountain Hills or Arizona as a whole? And as for the news in Arizona and protests that are occurring in Arizona, there's very little news concerning that. And Fountain Hills, there's zero. I had contacted Rory Wilson and I was like, is there anything going on in Fountain Hills? Is there any recognition towards the BLM movement in Fountain Hills? And the answer was no. So that prompted me to suggest, how about we plan a peaceful protest in Fountain Hills? So I had posted on my social media, anyone that is willing or wants to help me plan a peaceful protest in Fountain Hills, please reach out to me, because I most definitely want to follow through with this. So right after that, everything just started moving very quickly. As of now, we have 9 girls working under our organization that we call Together We Care. And I will say, when we did post on the FH Connection on Sunday, June 7th, the feedback we got was not the best. I will say that. It was, there's a lot of aggressive comments, but promptly after that, the support just outweighed the aggressive comments that we did receive. So it's good to see.
Yeah, thank you, Sharifa. So the problem started, basically, this is a peaceful protest. Black Lives Matter. It's been spreading across the country. It's been spreading across the world. It has actually, with the internet age, kind of brought you guys back, you ladies back together to kind of still be able to connect and create social change. And so you reached out, you had this thing going, and it was that step to put it on Fountain Hills Connection, which is a Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
I'm sorry. I will say that was probably our mistake, posting it there and posting it so early, because that gave people time to collaborate and, maybe bring counter protesters. So we canceled it out of safety concerns, because there were a couple comments that were concerning.
Okay, so yeah, I want to hear some of those comments and leave off the salty language. I mean, what was the genesis of it?
Basically lock and load comments, like, oh, we're going to have our guns ready, that along those lines. So that was very concerning, and we don't want that to outshine the whole purpose of our protest, So and we also didn't want our protesters in danger at all. That was not what we wanted to happen. So
Well, for me, it kind of seems like this is part of the conversation that needs to happen. I heard you, Sharifa, and I don't think you made a mistake. I think you perhaps miscalculated some of the people that were living in that town.
right.
And that just it's their mistake. What about one of the other ladies here? Would you kind of, Peggy McMahon says she thanks you all for what you're doing to educate and provide a peaceful forum for extremely important issues. And it really is true. I think you as women are really wonderful examples for how other people should be. And I know that this is just the start of the journey. You mentioned something, Sharifa. Rory, you are like either the webmaster or the communications director. Can you give us the website address where people can get more information?
Yes, so our website is at https colon and then the 2 slash marks twcfountainhills.weebly.com/who we are. Oh wait, sorry, not the who we are, but .com.
Okay, so TWC stands for what?
Together We Care.
Together We Care Fountain Hills. So it's just spelled out fountainhills.com.
Yes.
Okay, TWC, we'll put that in the feed so people can get more information. I think when you look at it, Rory, you're going to see a spike in traffic because I think people are going to be really looking to help. So the protest was canceled out of concern for your own personal safety. I have to imagine, as young ladies, your parents must be so happy with what you're doing. Let me hear about how your parents are taking this. I mean, I imagine a whole wide range of emotions, but Carrie, you want to swing in here?
Sure. My parents have always known this is something that I've been passionate about. My dad always likes to joke around by saying he didn't know that he was raising a mini Angela Davis in his household. So, of course, my mom and my dad were a little concerned seeing some of the threats that we were getting and how some people were responding to our original proposal. But I had to sit down with them and talked about how important it was for our community to especially have this conversation because it's been swept under the rug for too long.
Yeah. And Kayla and Caitlin, you want to kind of step in here because you're about 10 years removed from high school graduation, but still this triggered something within you to kind of support the other people, right?
Yeah, so I saw comments about
Thank you.
I saw comments about the student protest, and I was a member of the Fountain Hills Connection page on Facebook, but I wasn't like actively following it, so I couldn't see the things unless I physically went to the page. So some of my friends were posting it on their Facebook, like, oh my God, I can't believe the behavior of these adults in Fountain Hills. And so I was like, what's going on? Went to the page, saw the protest post, and then like all the comments underneath it hadn't been removed at that time, and my blood just like started to boil. Like I couldn't believe like that people would attack like students. Like these are like 18, 19-year-old students just trying to have a peaceful protest, and they like these older generation feel like threatened by it, and I didn't understand why. And the post had to get removed entirely due to the threats by like the admin of the page. And then other people started speaking out like in support of the students and their protests, but then those people would get attacked for like their support. And so it was just like, oh, it was just hard. So I was thinking like, okay, like what can I do? Because it's not enough to go and try and like fight all these older people and educate them. These people don't want to be educated in any kind of way. They're stuck, they're closed-minded, they don't want to hear any part of it. So there's just no reasoning with them. And so I put together an online protest because I was like, if we can't do it like physically, then we will come to you in the comfort and safety of your own home and you can watch it on the internet. And so I was nervous about it because I didn't want like to be one person like Black Lives Matter and then just get like the same hate that everybody else was getting that was showing the support. But I wanted it to be more of like a movement in itself. And so I asked like a couple friends that I knew would be willing to participate. And then I created the event, and then there was like 50 people in one day that were like, yeah, like I want to be a part of this too. And that kind of is where we realized that we weren't like alone in this, that there are people in the community that are in support of the movement, but are terrified to speak out because the hate can be sometimes like louder, I guess, like especially on the internet. So we arranged for last Tuesday at 10 p.m. to all just kind of put anything, just Black Lives Matter, a story about somebody that like a personal story or a meme or just something, anything. They could post whatever they wanted. And so we started posting things and we just all got shut down and blocked like immediately. Like 5 minutes, like all the posts got taken down.
What?
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
crazy.
This is crazy. So Caitlin, pick up the conversation here.
Sure.
Your friend was getting everybody to post. Was this on the connection page?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the Fountain Hills.
So you guys were
Connection page.
connecting on the Fountain Hills connection page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kayla had made a separate like Facebook event for us to plan everything, and then we all posted, and literally within 2 minutes, I was blocked from the group. So I felt so shut down, and it triggered all these emotions in me from being a teen in Fountain Hills and being shut down by adults constantly for my ideas. And, I'm a white kid. I have tremendous privilege in this world and in this town. And so, I can only imagine how much worse people of color feel when that happens to them at such a young age. And so I kind of like suggested to the group that we write a letter to the editor of the Fountain Hills Times and kind of express the same sentiments that we had posted in the Fountain Hills Connections group. And I asked if people would be interested in co-signing with me. And like 15 people were like, yeah, of course. And I was like, great, that sounds awesome. And, another person, Taylor, asked if she could co-write it with me. So we wrote this letter, and then it ended up just becoming kind of going Fountain Hills viral, and a lot of people were all of a sudden showing their support and wanted to help contribute in whatever way they could. And I was so overwhelmed because, like Kayla was saying, when I was growing up and hearing, all of these racist things and microaggressions and people just saying things like Sharifa was saying that aren't direct but are, kind of have the undertone of racism, I never felt like I could stand up. And obviously now I wish that I had, but I never felt like people would have my back and agree with what I was saying. And so now we know that the silent majority really does exist and that we need to be more vocal.
Okay, let me just introduce everybody again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of, I believe, 7. Am I correct? 7 of the founding members of this group, TWC? You have 7 altogether, pretty much
We have
founding members?
9.
9, I'm sorry. I knew it was an odd number, just like the Supreme Court. Okay, there were 9 of you. And this started off as a peaceful protest, a call for a peaceful protest by Sharifa out in California for Fountain Hills to have a Black Lives Matter protest during the day. Got posted on Fountain Hills Connection with some really ugly comments, mainly older people. And through a decision made by the group, out of their own personal safety, decided to postpone or actually eliminate the protest. And I think we might be having something coming again in the future. But I just want to read some of these comments that are coming in. Wendy says, very proud of you all. Thank you for your generation. I look forward to continuing support of your movement. Donna, who is a teacher, says, thank you for lending your voices and your convictions. We are with you. Julie, someone who's running for the school board in Scottsdale, nice thinking and working smarter. That's the objective. Bravo. Jamie, makes me proud seeing the generation come together. You are awesome. I have to say that you're bringing so many emotions out of me. I first started teaching, it was 1996, and I taught 5th grade, which is U.S. history. And you try to kind of go through history with people, and you have to realize who wrote that history. You have to always question history. So what I wanted to instill in my students was to always have a voice, always to say, question it. We actually spent a lot of time working on a play, which was the trial of George Washington. We put him on for treason because, he was British and he fought against the British, and I wanted them to think about things in a different way. And so when I see you come out and get together like this, it's like, it's so heartwarming. Please don't tell me you're shutting it down. You're just retooling, right? What do we got? Sharifa, what's the next step here?
We're retooling. I feel like with the cancellation of the protest, we've been able to not only get more feedback from supporters and get more help from supporters, we've been able to gather a lot more resources, actually have concrete plans as to how the protest is going to be carried out. So I feel like the time was actually a good thing. So, yeah.
I'm telling you, this thing's going to blow the doors off. So, do we have a scoop here, Carrie? Are we having a protest? Are we not having a protest? Or you guys want to keep that mom? You want to keep that mom?
It's postponed. We are going to make our announcement soon as to when we've moved our protest. But on our website, which is, again, twcfountainhills.weebly.com, we do have a calendar of upcoming events and just different purposes for the mission for our march, our organization, who we are, and a bunch of other resources you can use to help push forward the Black Lives Matter movement until we have our protest.
Nice. And hopefully the protest will not be the last step, that you'll all stay together somehow. Anything in the future, Rory?
Yes, we actually are planning a vigil. And if you look at the calendar on our website, that does say it will be on July 5th. So we are in the process of creating plans for that. But right now we are focused on our march.
Nice. Will the march be before the vigil or after the vigil?
You will find out this Friday. On June 19th, we will be announcing the official date and time of our march.
Okay. I wrote a letter to the editor. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of them tomorrow. The Fountain Hills Times is your local newspaper. And, they print everybody's letter, it seems. So I'm going to say there's probably going to be about 20 supportive letters. I would love to see the people actually come out and put their name on why they don't support it. But one of the things that really troubled me was your First Amendment, the freedom of speech to peacefully assemble. People were taking their Second Amendment rights and kind of saying that that's important. Here's the thing that bothers me. People, the Second Amendment says it's the right to bear arms, your militia, the whole whatever, right? Written in the late 1700s. I think we've kind of grown and gotten a little different as a country. Nobody's saying you can bring an Uzi out there. But why would a person need to strap a firearm on their side and go and kind of hurl insults at children? And I guess it's not fair for me to ask you why they do that, because I don't think you can get into their minds. But tell me how that kind of feels. What are the emotions that are going through you?
Quite honestly, the number one emotion that I felt was, I guess I felt more emboldened and kind of more so motivated, because it demonstrated more than ever that we need to have this conversation. Like, if it causes so much fear or strife that people feel like they need to be armed to have this conversation, that just means we have that much more work to do. I am not that intimidated by this, because I know that I have a certain respect for others, and I expect that they have the same for me.
Excellent.
I completely agree. I feel like when it even comes to just Black lives in general, that can stay for some reason. As for people wanting to come out and bear arms, again, our focus is not to engage, but to disassociate ourselves with that. We're not going to approach them. We're not going to in any way even acknowledge that they're there, because I feel like that eliminates any kind of friction or tension between both groups. So
it's just kind of ironic, because they were worried about the violence that like the protest was gonna bring, and then they were the one insinuating all the violence. So
exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
It's what we call irony, right? Isn't that ironic that they're worried about violence and yet they're bringing these big firearms to kind of shoot people, for no better word. I mean, it's crazy. And y'all were talking about having your protest during the day, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Just what was the plan actually for the original protest?
Well, we were all going to congregate at the amphitheater at the Fountain Hills Park, and we were going to walk. We changed our route, but the original route was going to, we're going to walk near, I forget what the street is called, but along Bashes and just the Avenue of Fountains, we were going to circle there and probably loop it twice, then congregate back to the amphitheater. So I feel like we felt like that's where most people would see us marching.
Yeah, so you were just going to be in the street. It's 110 degrees. It wasn't like you were doing anything other than you were marching. Hopefully you're going to hydrate,
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And people were grabbing their guns to protect their the paw and the maw, whatever. I mean, I just get a feeling like people in these overalls with it. Just so difficult. It's so difficult. Have either of you or anybody feel free to talk about an experience that you might have had in Fountain Hills, a specific experience that kind of impressed upon you that this is a little different of a place than where I want to be?
I would say, again, when I was approached, or whenever I would get comments, it was very subtle. So, but the subtlety was very passive aggressive, if you get me. So for example, when I worked, that's where I experienced the most discrimination. For example, a lot of people like to play with my hair when I had braids in, or they like to comment about, because a lot of people questioned my intelligence. Let me say, just because they'd ask me, oh, are you planning on going to college? Oh, do you have kids and stuff like that? And just when I was approached, or the way I was approached, it was very dehumanizing to me in a way.
Yeah.
So, I just didn't want to live in that environment for too long. So, not to say there are not good people in Fountain Hills, but, so.
Yeah, you got one life to live your best life. And that was something that made you kind of move, right?
Right.
Wow. Hey, let's talk about the world in general. I mean, there's so much going on right now. I'm really interested to hear about, women like you. What's going on with the Supreme Court decision Monday morning? Let's talk about that. Where is your where are you on it right now? Maybe we'll go to the right side of my screen. Kayla, you know, the Supreme Court just ruled that LGBTQ plus, they're all protected class when it just comes to work right now, that they can't be fired based on their gender identity. What are you thinking about that?
That's amazing. I'm honestly embarrassed to admit that I didn't realize that people were allowed to fire based on someone's like preference, gender preference. I didn't even know that that was allowed to begin with. So when I saw it, I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's awesome that now like everyone has, like they all have equal rights as far as like the workplace goes, workplace discrimination. But I mean, that's also part of it is like a lot of us, we are not paying attention. And like a lot of people say we have equal rights, and then you look further into it and you're like, well, we don't. Like there's a lot of us that don't have equal rights. And
Yeah.
but that, I mean, that's amazing that that was passed. Definitely in support of that. So long overdue. It's 2020. I don't know how we're still like having this argument about just human rights, but
Well, I have to tell you, in Arizona, we really have a need at the state level to put an anti-discrimination law on the books because, quite frankly, right now you still have businesses that can discriminate, housing discrimination. There's lots of things. I mean, this is just the start, and I'm hoping that your generation takes up the mantle and actually continues forward on some. Anybody else have an opinion on the Supreme Court ruling from Monday? Little finger. Yes, Caitlin.
Yeah, I agree that it's a great thing, and it was surprising given the balance of the court and everything that's, you know, this year has been kind of a dumpster fire. So it was nice to have some good news come out in general, but also I think it brings up a bigger issue of discrimination in general in this country. And sure, people can't fire an employee for being gay or transgender or, you know, whatever they identify as, which is amazing, but there's still going to be discrimination that exists in hiring and in, you know, getting a loan for a home. There's so much systemic racism in this country that needs to be addressed. And I think everything that we've discussed today here are all really great first steps, but there's still so much work to be done. And I hope we never get complacent in our progress and are always trying to move forward.
Good for you. Well said. We have a comment from my sister-in-law in Florida is watching. She says, love the Together We Care. That is how changes are made. Good for you, Noreen. Sherry James, is the date going to be made public to everyone? You said the date's going to be made public Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there going to be like a gender reveal party, like when someone has a baby, or are we talking about we have to go to the website, or is it going to be blasted somewhere?
Well, you're going to be able to see it on the website, and then we're also going to blast it. So that way it's in people's faces, you know.
Blast away. All right. So me representing the boomer generation, which I just tipped in there, what can we do to help?
Honestly, the support, kind of spreading it to your demographic is the most important, because I can reach my friends from high school and my friends from college and say, retweet this, repost this on your Instagram story, and so on and so forth. But having those links and having these different options of support are the most important, so that we can reach a wider audience.
Sharifa, do you want these people, if it is a march, this protest, it could be a sit-in, I don't know what it is, but do you want other people to join you, or do you just want it to be students and your generation?
Please, we welcome any kind of support from any type of group. No one is excluded, everyone. I feel like everyone should be supporting this movement. So whoever wants to come out, please do.
Sandy says we'll be there marching with you. I know I'll be there. I think it's
Awesome.
I think it's just wonderful. Tell me about the future for each of you. Let's just do a little round robin here. You know, COVID, still a scary time. It seems like, you know, 2020 is just the decade that keeps on lasting and it's only been 5 months. What are you thinking of? I want to hear some life change. Sharifa, what are you going to do with yourself?
as in my future, what I have planned?
Yeah. Come on now. You said Long
Well,
Beach State, right?
yeah, you can't do much with a bachelor's in psychology, so I'm hoping to go to graduate school, either a master's in social work or a law degree. We'll see. We don't know.
Fantastic.
We'll see.
Hey, is this kind of changing your direction?
Honestly, it is. I did not expect, but it's great.
Nice. You know what? That is awesome. Rory, you're probably the youngest one in the group, right?
Second youngest, I think.
All right.
I definitely am the second youngest. I'm pretty sure you've got me beat.
Okay, let's go. Rory, what are you looking at in your future?
Well, for me, hopefully in a few years, I'll go on to graduate school, either for forensic science or sociology, because I'm double majoring in both of them. Sociology, which I've been taking summer classes, has been very helpful during this time. So I've been becoming a lot more interested in that field. So I guess we'll see.
Nice. Carrie.
So my plan after finishing my undergrad, I will be attending law school, speaking it into existence, and I will either be a criminal defense or civil rights litigation attorney.
Gosh darn it. Yeah, man. You guys are going to make me cry. Caitlin.
Oh boy. Well, short-term plan of action is to just continue to educate myself and to speak out when I can. And I live in a liberal city, so it can be kind of a microcosm sometimes in a similar way that Fountain Hills is, its own community as well. It's in the opposite direction. But to stay engaged and to continue to grow and learn my activism personally. And then also I work in the entertainment industry. So my long-term goal is to increase representation on every level, from executives to what we see on camera, to production assistants, to line producers, to every level of the industry, to diversify and support people of color and women.
Rock on. Kayla.
Well, I work in marketing, so I'm going to stay there. But then also just on a personal level, just continue just to educate and grow in any way that I can, and hopefully get more involved in the community. This has been like a really eye-opening experience. It's that whole thing, like my one voice doesn't matter, and then it does all of a sudden. You're like, oh crap, like maybe I will get more involved. So yeah, it's been awesome. So I just hope to continue down that road.
And I just have to say, on that point, Kayla, I think a lot of people out there, and the words you hear about my vote doesn't matter, my voice doesn't matter, my this doesn't matter, but when you put one next to another, next to another, next to another, you've created pretty much the power to do whatever you want, So God bless you all. I mean, this is just fantastic. All right, we're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Bob Gomez wants to know, and this is a great question. So you have a march, you have a sit-in, whatever the next protest is, which we'll find out about Friday. That's not the end. What's the next steps after that?
Oh, no, definitely not. After the march, after the vigil, even if we don't have actual events, the whole goal of our organization is to educate and to reach out to as many people as we can. So because we are in college, at times we won't be able, when, COVID is, when things, ease up a little bit and we do go back to college, we won't have as much time as on our hands. So the whole goal is to be able to work and to be able to network and to be able to educate people about Black lives and about the Black Lives Matter, about the BLM movement, and it's unfortunate that it has to be this way, but the only thing we can do is, educate.
Kind of going
Right.
back to what Sharifa was saying about us being in college, we've also started a newsletter, which you can sign up to be a part of on our website. And from our different institutions, we'll be able to continue giving information about how you can be a more active advocate in Arizona in your community. And we have a countless amount of reading lists, different petitions, donation spots. So we will still be able to continue our activism as Together We Care, even when we're across the country.
Okay, so let's put that website out there one last time. It's twcfountainhills.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You know, it's going to come in your email. You can always delete it if you don't want it after a while, but get the information, at least something you can do. You have a choice, right? If you get the information, you can act on it or you can just throw it out, but at least you'll have the information. I would encourage each and every one of you to get active in the campaign season. If you want a spot on my campaign, go to curlin23.com. We'd love to have you. The young people need to change this world. Al Ronca says, it's been great meeting you online. Look forward to meeting you all in person. You are the hope, and that's where it's at. Our state is so backwards right now. I mean, we've got the best in the beauty of the physical beauty with the mountains and the desert. Everything's wonderful. We got some great people that live here, but we still got a Confederate monument down at the Capitol building. We still have people that can be denied housing because of who they love. I mean, we have very simple things that just, hey, I would encourage y'all to run for office, for heaven's sakes. Be the change you want to be. Anyway, God, I love it. It's so awesome. I want to end with this by just saying thank you. We're going to look forward to seeing you on your website Friday, how we can help. I would encourage everybody that's watching to reach out, grab a handful of people, and support these kids. It's one time out of your life right now. They need your support. Let's blow the doors off of this thing, okay? Young women need the support. So let's do that. I'm going to end with a little story about my kid, okay? It's all right?
Okay.
So my kid was in 3rd grade, right? And I was a teacher, and I was the president of the Teachers Association at that time. So I was able to sit in on the leadership team. Superintendent invited me every Monday, and I sat there. And they would invite a rotating principal. Well, this one day, the principal was from my kid's school and told me a story about my son, who had started a protest, 3rd grade, mind you. See, they switched pizza from Pizza Hut to Augie's, and he didn't like the Augie's pizza. And every Friday they had pizza, and he was pissed. So he got a letter, he wrote it out, he got everybody to sign it, he brought it to the principal. The principal did nothing with it. You know, said, sorry, it's a district decision. Then he got everybody to bring their own lunch on Friday so no one bought the pizza. Well, I didn't even know about this. So the principal's telling me this, and we're at the leadership team, and I was like, holy crap, my kid is rock solid. Had no idea he even got that. So this is what happened. So the superintendent of the public schools in Scottsdale, his name was Dr. John Barris. He says, hey, Eric, your son, is this true? I said, well, I mean, I know he was talking about pizza. You got to ask, the principal over there. And so she says, yeah, it's true. And then the superintendent had asked each person at the table. There was a principal from high school, principal from middle school, principal from elementary. Says, is it true? Does the pizza suck? And they're like, well, yeah, the kids don't really like it. He's like, well, why didn't you tell me? So they canceled the contract to Augie's. They went back to Pizza Hut because no one was selling pizza. So my kid, one kid, 3rd grade, changed pizza for 33 schools in the Scottsdale Unified School District. There you go.
There's a round of applause.
There you go. And you were probably saying, where the heck is he going with this story? That's where I went. I went there. So it doesn't matter how young you are, doesn't matter how old you are, you go ahead and make a difference. Love you all. Thank you so much for brightening my day today. We're going to have another guest tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tune in. We got guests every day, but never as good as this. Thanks so much, everybody. Keep the faith. We'll look at your website on Friday. We'll see you out there in the streets.
Awesome. Thank you.